Good Friday morning of the first week. This is just before the Epiphany. It's January 5th. Okay, I'm going to follow this thing up for sure. Anyway, it's the gospel. These are great readings. This is again a vocational reading. It's intended by John. Okay, it's the first chapter. Jesus decided to go to Galilee, and he found Philip. And Jesus said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the town of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael. I love this section. This is so great. Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one about whom Moses wrote in the law, and also the prophets, Jesus, the son of Joseph, from Nazareth." Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" That's a great line. Philip said, "Come on and see. What's the matter with you?" Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him, and he said to him, "Here is a true child of Israel. There's no duplicity in him. Yeah, he's a straight shooter." Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered and said to him, "Before Philip called you, I saw you under the fig tree." Nathanael answered him, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus answered and said to him, "Do you believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree? You'll see greater things than this." And he said to him, "Amen, amen, I say to you, you'll see the sky open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." That neat text. I have to say this. Okay, you know I'm driven. I'm compelled to say this, but see, when they said to him, when before Philip called you, I saw you under the fig tree. And Nathanael answered, "Rabbi, I'm being with a bang. You believe because I said I saw you under the fig tree?" Naturally, in my neighborhood, the kids of the old neighborhood knew what he saw under the fig tree, honest to God. I mean, the nuns didn't know. Priest didn't know, but the kids in the I think my cousin Harry might have known. I don't know. I find such delight in the stories of growing up. I really do, in the faith and in the neighborhood. Somebody asked me once where I got my wisdom from. I said the kids of the old neighborhood. That was a professor asked me that actually not long ago, and it was when I was chairman, so maybe about 10 years ago. I said, "Where did you get your wisdom from? Political wisdom?" I said, "From the kids in the neighborhood." Maybe we did think we knew what was going on under the fig tree, but with all the kids in the neighborhood knew what life was about. They learned early, sometimes in alcoholic homes. Who knows? But what they weren't were dumb. They knew the real world. These kids knew it. The kids in the neighborhood knew it. They knew the real world. I admire them to this day. I admire them to this day. I think of sitting on the stoop with Frankie and Marie and Patty, the Sibs, my cousin Harry. Not so much Camille. She didn't join with us on that. Pete, my brother. Jimmy Nazella down the street. I always picture Marie sitting on the steps in front of their house. We were children, you know. Yeah, but there was a street wisdom in that gang on this, what we talked about. I can't even remember. But we were neighbors, and we were more than neighbors. We were friends together, and there was a wisdom in our group. One of the things we understood, we belonged to the same community, the neighborhood, the street. And if a person was walking down the street that didn't belong there, we didn't attack them, but we saw them. And if it was whether it's a child or an old person, it made no difference. And that was true of everybody on the street. We sort of knew who each other were. There was a street wisdom in that. Yeah. And I think of how I ran my department for 28 years and 9 years in Louisville, Bellarmine College, 37 years at Charing. I learned all of that on the street. I learned all of and I'm good at what I did. Somebody asked me one time, "How long did it take you to make peace in the order? Peace in the department." The department was really rife with strife, really bad. I said 5 years yesterday. The vigilance of the street. It's the vigilance of the street. See? I was good at what I did because I grew up in a neighborhood that knew how to survive together, not in innocence, but in the wisdom of the street. That's the truth. Maybe that's why I like mob movies, because in many ways, it isn't the violence, it's the street wisdom I see. One of my favorite movies called The Bronx Tale. These kids growing up on the street in the Bronx in New York. All right, so what? New Bronx, New Haven, what's the difference? But I saw the wisdom and those kids learn from each other. You see, it lasts a lifetime. I remember with such affection the kids on the street. You see, the kids on the street. Yeah. We had our Nathaniels, obviously. Anything good from that neighborhood, that was all part of it, you see. Want to know something? I told you this a million times. I think of that every time I eat a Lender bagel. Marvin came 2 blocks from over. We were classmates. It seemed to me our street got along very well with Baldwin. I think he lived on Baldwin. I can't remember that part, but it was only 2 blocks over. And the Bagel Bakery was on Congress. God, you want a bagel that's good? Get one right out of the oven while it's being baked. Holy God. Bagel. Lender bagels. I remember when. Those were the kids in our neighborhood. The Jewish kids, the Italian kids, Irish. We knew their diversity, but we loved each other. And we were friends together. Isn't that interesting? And you see it in some of the movies. So I like, Martin Scorsese films, if he flips you back to his neighborhood, you're getting an insight into a culture of the street. And it's not a harsh structure. It is real. But there's something beautiful about it. Special. We don't make excuses for each other. There were the alcoholics. There were the guys that beat their wives and all the rest. Things that were not good. But there was also something redemptively good about it, too. We learned to live together. And we learned to look out for each other. And we learned to learn from each other, become wise with a powerful street wisdom. And not to judge, but also not to be foolish. Yeah. Not to condemn, but to also recognize. Clearly to recognize. That's the truth. See, I can't help it. When I think about St. Philip, under the fig tree, I think, well, my cousin Harry, I think, knew. I think maybe Frankie Coppola might have known. You got to know what kids talk about in that world. And we talked about things like what was going on there under the fig tree. You see, I, with such loving respect, look back on my childhood on the street in New Haven, playing on the street. With our playground was the street, was right there between the cars. That's the truth. I remember when I finally got in the seminary, we were playing on grass. I couldn't freaking believe it. We're playing on grass. I'm used to concrete. Our baseballs, we used to ruin the cover right off, and we used to tape them with black tape. That's the truth. Frankie had a good yard, that we had more room in his yard to play. But I'm telling you the truth. See, that's a neighborhood. My world, the church, is a neighborhood, which everyone looks out for everyone. And we're all sinners. We're all sinners in need of redemption. No one's innocent, but there are no enemies either. We are friends together in the old neighborhood. The kids of the old neighborhood, their parents, the relatives, the old folks, and the very young, friends together. Isn't that neat? I owe a lot to those kids, and I remember them with love and respect and gratitude. I hope they're all right.